Hello and welcome to Channel Gap. My name's Jason Reynolds and today we're with Samantha Vinci, who is representing the Great Australian Party in the Senate for the West Australian elections. How are you doing today, Sam?
Wonderful, thank you, Jason.
That's great, that's great. So today what we're going to look at is the policies surrounding industry, manufacturing, business and tourism. So the lifeblood, it's been said, of our country is within small business. What are your feelings and even your own experience in what's required for us to be able to encourage, a lot of innovation, encourage those people that are willing to step forward, invest their time and energy in a hope that that they may be able to be successful, but also provide great services to the communities, locally within the major cities, but also in regional areas. What is it you believe we can do to reduce the barrier for entry and elevate their ability to make profit and be successful?
Well, a lot of the time when someone's got a great idea or a business model in place, the biggest boundaries can actually be in just compliance, taxation compliance, accounting compliance, employment laws, and trying to get their head around that side of their business whilst focusing on what their initial passion or idea was can be quite difficult. Yeah,
absolutely. And what do you feel, a government is not doing at the moment or hasn't done in the past that, in your own experience that could really assist and help? I mean, there may be some innovations that are not there, but we're talking before about, imagine if government wasn't bureaucratic, but it was actually advisory and providing, cutting edge support and research and information into what individuals could do to nurture their business. What are some of the things that you believe government could be doing to develop the ideas that small business are presenting today?
Yeah, so definitely more support with compliance. I think like a tax restructure would be a good place to start, and lower interest rates. That way, the focus can be on the business, and then that individual can help business thrive. Instead of head down in books and on the internet and trying to understand regulations and where they sit and what they should be doing to comply. So a bit more support from that perspective would be extremely helpful.
Yeah, I imagine an unrestricted marketplace where people could actually get on with what they're brilliant at rather than finding themselves doing a lot of compliance that sometimes can be a bit overreaching and restrictive.
Yeah.
And what about, I know you've got a background in accounting and law, and what about that with small business? It does seem to be quite restrictive, and I know there's small businesses now that have to invest in outside consultants in order just to understand how to move through just employing an individual. The ability to want to give an opportunity to someone has become quite restrictive. What do you believe some of the measures that GAP can introduce and that you would be pushing if you were to be successful in election?
I definitely think we need to establish some sort of protocol to make it, to give confidence to people in business. I think in my experience, there's a lot of conflicting information regarding some of our employment law, and when you're just new to business, you can get worked up and wound up in your taxation compliance, in your employment law compliance, and lose focus on the rest of the business in the meantime. And most questions I get from local business owners is, this is my situation, am I doing it right? And there's definitely a fear factor out there in complying from a taxation perspective too, that worried about if they're doing it wrong, are they going to be penalised? And I think that if there's some sort of system in place which makes it a lot easier, and they're not stuck doing a day's worth of bookwork and paperwork and stuff, and can focus on their business, and the business can thrive, and therefore they can employ more people, and it's good for our state, it's good for the economy.
Absolutely. And I suppose that's very much a ripple and knock-on effect, isn't it? That when small business is thriving, it has a greater impact in the way in which they deal with their people, but it impacts and improves family life and so many other aspects of our society. It's a key aspect of our our own prosperity. But just as a final point, I mean, because this is a big portfolio, but the import replacement strategy, I mean, it's a great opportunity to bring manufacturing back to Australia. What are your feelings on this, and what is it that you believe also that the Great Australian Party can bring forward in this area?
Yeah, well, we've got the people and to do the manufacturing here. Obviously, a lot of our manufacturing or a lot of our imports are because it's cheaper. But in the long run, that's not of benefit to our country, because while we have people unemployed, we would be better focusing on upskilling them in manufacturing and some sort of support for businesses that are manufacturing, so they can therefore be more competitive with what we are importing. That way we sort of, tackle two issues at the same time. And we're reliant more on ourselves rather than supplies from overseas.
Absolutely. I mean, we've got a country that's so rich in resources that, so much of it has been farmed off and owned. Someone was telling me the other day that 40% of Australia is owned by Chinese, and that's in itself makes us wonder within our own lives, what are we doing within our own country, and how much are we protecting and valuing that in our own prosperity. So yes. And so is there anything else that you'd like to finish, or anything else you'd like to add in regards to industry, manufacturing and business and tourism?
No, just that I think that encouraging small business is a key to helping our country flourish. I think that even from a community level as well, it's really important that people feel confident and safe within their business, and that their employees feel the same way, and that there's not this feeling of always feeling restricted, questioning what you're doing, and just being able to focus on your product or service or your innovation as such.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for sharing today, Sam. We'll dive further into this as we move closer to the election. But remember, West Australia, there is an election, which I'm sure you're well aware of, on March the 13th. Make your vote count. And if you believe GAP is there for your own prosperity, and you believe that GAP is there to represent you in a true form, please visit the GAP app, which gives you an indication into what it is that we have done to allow transparency, to allow communication and maintain communication with all elected and successful candidates whilst they are in representation for you. Thank you very much, and enjoy your day. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Jason.
The Great Australian Party. Policies for the prosperity of all. Vote GAP for the restoration of the Commonwealth. Authorised by E. Nelson for the Great Australian Party, Level 1, 33 226 Beaufort Street, Perth, Western Australia, 6000.